Here we go.
Hello,
Recording.
hello. Welcome, Kevin. Welcome to Cosmic Energy Life podcast. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've been looking forward to doing this with you. I understand it's going to be a very casual thing. I'm definitely looking forward to sharing things with everyone. So hopefully this gives out something for all.
Don't be nervous. It's gonna be good. So I've been recording podcasts for the last past 5 years, and I have always like breaks in between. But for those who don't know us, hi, my name is Ava. I am a psychic tarot reader for over 20 years. I've been doing cosmic energy healing for almost 14, and I'm also a teacher. And I also have Hager Cosmetics is my holistic cosmetic line, which is infused and enchanted with energy healing, which we now call glamour magic these days. And we're going to talk about that a lot. And my guest is Kevin Lim, and you are an amazing person that creates sigils, which I love. So I want you to tell me about yourself and also about your past. We have the same past. We are both former makeup artists and
Yeah,
been in the beauty
yeah.
industry. Tell me about it.
I know we have so many things to talk about the beauty industry for sure, but at the same time, just wanted to open up. My name is Kevin. I am a artist and a designer first before I got into either makeup or magic.
Yeah,
And at the same time, when I did enter makeup, I did realize that I am not a makeup artist actually, but I am an artist who does makeup. So there's a
yeah.
huge difference when it comes to these things, and especially during towards my self-discovery as well, when I'm trying to figure things out. But now that I am a magical practitioner, I am introducing myself as a magical practitioner who designs and elevates, updates, bespoke ritual tools for other practitioners as well. So my focus on magic is towards chaos magic. I am a chaot. I believe what I believe, and I literally bring forth sheer will with how we are, realizing our truth. So, with that said, my focus as an artist gravitated very naturally towards sigil magic because a lot of people are afraid of sigils. It's like
Yeah,
everybody's doing candle work,
yeah.
everybody's doing their herbs and spices and whatnot. But when I entered the field as a practitioner, it's the closest thing that really gravitated to what naturally is existing towards me, which is my art. It came into collision with so many different things that I used to do, the many different jobs that I partook. Really taught me to be able to do what I do now. So it's
It's
very
also
fun.
drawing. It's also drawing.
Yeah, mainly drawing. And then the weird part about starting the sigil work is that when I go to markets and when I introduced it towards the markets and stuff, they were very surprised. I felt like I went in as a dark horse, and that is because
Yeah.
almost everybody admitted to me that they knew and even learned sigilling in a cult school. Like there's a lot of people that went to a cult school and learned everything, but they specifically avoided sigils, and that is because they were afraid to make mistakes. So, with that said, the tools that I develop allows you to get and grow into the sigil work in addition to whatever magic that you do. And I like that it's serving as a compiled magic. It almost to a point of like draws in many different forms, whether
Mm.
it's your magic, my magic, everyone else's magic, and then can be combined together, for a very impactful feel.
So the chaos magic, I'm very interested. So first of all, a lot of people are fearing to use sigils because a
Mhm.
lot of times they don't know the meaning behind it. So you need to study that, obviously.
Mhm.
But it's not impossible. I use sigils, and in glamour magic, I use sigils, which I teach in classes, that don't have to be visible. Right. So like
Mhm.
I incorporate that with the magic glamour magic, but a lot of people are scared. And then like what is chaos magic though? Like what does that entail? Like what do you do? Because for everybody it means something else actually.
Mhm.
Because when I talk
Chaos,
to people, everybody has a different understanding. I'm just
right,
curious.
right. And it's kind of weird because chaos magic, I feel like, is a rebellion towards the normal what do you call that, dogma. It is basically a form of magic where you use practicality and sheer will of yourself, and you learn so many different aspects of different religions, different takes on it. But the one rule that we do not hold to is we do not believe in dogma. So it gets to that situation where use everything that you can from different practices, and whatever works to the most convenient way and the fastest route towards results that you want is what chaos magic is all about. It's more leaning towards your own sheer will. It leans towards like your own practical beliefs, but it seems to be very easy because, okay, why are you not practicing certain practices that are very strict, to the
Mm,
core? And considering that even my background is also coming from Catholicism, I do know what ceremonial magic is in terms of that route. But when I did end up practicing chaos magic, I did realize that we kind of like weave out of the delusion and the frou-frou and just like, make magic like that. So it gets you to that specific way of being able to just open up and be free towards whatever magic has to offer you without needing to
mhm.
be held hostage by propriety, by what other people tell you, and just simply go for anything that you want. Really. And a lot of it has to do with sigil work, because even with me evolving towards my background in marketing as well, there
Yeah.
was a reason why companies are very successful as to hypnotizing you to buying their product. So
The
now,
way they draw the brand sigil.
exactly, exactly.
Well,
It's
I'm
very
aware, like Google and I don't know, Microsoft, I'm aware.
right. And there's a reason why McDonald's taught you how to eat chicken nuggets every time you see that M, and that is because it crept up into your subconscious. And that is what
Hmm.
sigilling works. And that's how
Yeah.
sigilling works. It basically makes your body do certain things based on your goals that you put into it. But of course, you want to create a conscious goal in that. But at the same time, being able to forget about the sigil is also kind of like reducing your obsession about these goals that you're trying to attain. So that is what I focus on, aside from, magic, it's marketing, art, and chaos magic altogether.
Interesting. Do you teach chaos magic? Do you have
You
classes?
know
Are
what?
you coming some
Right
up?
now, I haven't engaged in classes. I would
Or like
say that
one-on-ones, like private sessions with people?
I possibly can in the near future, because when I'm going out in public, doing it based on markets that I have been, I found it so effective to help people in a neuroscience way as well as in a magical way, because they're really capable of honing into their wishes. So when I was doing a lot of the markets, I realized that my brand grew into a wish granter standpoint. So that is the focus of my magic right now. A lot of people are doing candle magic, sex magic, protection and healing, but the brand Gaud really did evolve into wish granting. And I'm very surprised about it. It's very fitting to how it first started, because it was actually born out of a road opener spell that I've done. The very first time I've ever done a spell, it was dedicated towards Ganesh, which was very, very appropriate
Obstacle
for it.
remover. Yes, yes.
It was an obstacle remover. And the spell that I did during that time was actually towards breaking glass ceilings, because I felt like I was always,
Ooh.
it's so powerful. It was so weird because I felt I was always like held back. I felt that, everybody that knew me, they already knew me as a person who just makes things and who makes it into a point of like amazement. So the magic was really in my hands, and then everybody would call me to a degree, with a Midas touch, because everything that I do or make, turns into gold. But the thing is, and the
That's
problem
when
there,
you start charging.
exactly, but the problem there is I never saw it myself. I never did. I felt like, I just do it
That's
just
that's when you're
because.
in beginning stages. That's when you're in beginning stages. I remember working with Ganesh doing a road opening and I got a car. Still in my car to
Exactly,
today. And like ever since I
exactly.
was like, And I back then didn't do the candle magic, and the manifestation magic that I do now. And it
Yeah.
was just crazy. It
So
was
it
crazy.
it felt very crazy during that time. And then,
Which means
when
we need to work with Ganesh again.
oh my God, all the time. Well, not all the time. I just felt like it was appropriately granted, and that is pretty much why the booth or the practice became towards wish granting. So right now I'm trying to formulate ways of how to organize classes, how to teach people to do sigil work, because every time they sit in my booth, it was more of a consultation as far as life coaching. It really is evolving towards that. And then I'm in
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
a little bit of like art therapy in there too, as well as being able to really ground yourself and cut the delusions of what we mundanely wish for and really go into the core of who we are and what we really need. I mean, I do
Yeah.
believe that magic is a tool, it's a system, it's a technology that's available for everyone. We just really don't know how to use it. We just really don't know how
Yeah.
to engage with it. So if we are doing that
Yeah.
properly, it really does make changes in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's very interesting what you're telling me. What was for me, I think the turning point to turn into spiritual work was when I was on a crossroad and I was doing makeup for a long time. Like I started even as a nail technician in my early 20s.
Oh
And
my God.
then when I was like, still in my 20s, I started with makeup, which now I'm 29, obviously.
I love it. Yes, you
I
are,
think
madam.
I'm
Yes, you
29 in a day.
are. Don't put numbers now, okay? This is making me
You
nervous.
know why? So I started, then I added the makeup, and I said to myself, when I'm a makeup artist, like the reason why I'm becoming a makeup artist back then, manifestation, right? Again, no clue
Mhm.
about anything. I said is the reason I'm becoming a makeup artist because I will have my own makeup brand. And
Okay,
years later,
you
I have
did.
my makeup brand. I have now, it's more like a holistic, enchanted beauty, you know, brand, but it's working, and like I'm still, like it takes time, especially when you hand make products and you infuse it with certain
Mhm.
energies, and but it's working, and like it shifted, and instead of just makeup, also cosmetics and skincare, but I'm going back to the makeup field, and glamour magic comes in there. But back then when I manifested that, I didn't know my powers, right? And what happened was when I was doing makeup, hair, nails, people will fall asleep on me. And I
Okay.
didn't understand why. And then when I was asking eventually, hey, am I boring? You don't want to talk to me? What is it? And they're like, no, we're just relaxing. You have such a healing soft touch. And that was my first encounter with healing, right? And then like when I was on a crossroad, like about, was it 10 years ago?
Mhm.
It was like 2014. It was like makeup or spirituality. I said, okay, you lead the way, universe. And the universe, of course, chose spirituality for me. But I was able to now reincorporate my roots from beauty,
Okay.
anything that's beauty related, which I love, but it's also a little shallow. That's why it was difficult for me at some point to just work with shallowness, because beauty can also come from within, right? And the spiritual means are not always there. Who's giving us hearts?
Me, I am. I'm loving what you're saying right now, but go on.
Aw, thank you. So now I found a way to like incorporate it differently. And since we met at markets, and we meet so many beautiful people and like different backgrounds, and some are beauticians that practice, and they still beauticians, but they don't do spiritual work like we do, but we
Mhm.
transitioned into spirituality, right? So like I do love doing spiritual work. And then, like, eventually, when it becomes too much, the good thing is I can go back and forth with the beauty. And then, if the beauty thing becomes too much, I can go back to spirituality. So, I
That
do
is
love
true.
the change, and I do love the incorporation because, we both have also corporate background. But
Mhm.
glamour magic is something that just recently popped up that was always there. I always taught, for the five last past years, it's all about love and self-love, and that's why I work with roses in my Hagar Cosmetics products for the most part, because roses have the strongest, like healing factor, also in hertz frequency, and just like in general, the power of healing and cleansing. And
Mhm.
it's incorporated and it's like not to be seen. So now that it's so trendy, obviously, my brand is more trendy. Um, even like with the lip gloss, this is the Aphrodite lip gloss. This is a tester. This is my vial because I keep playing
Mhm.
with the ingredients.
Mhm.
And it's so beautiful because, I enchanted, I put my healing into the products, just like you put into your sigils. And then like, it's also the spoken word, but ultimately it's you believing in yourself. That's what's about glamour magic or like anything you do. And the fact that when you take yourself out, have no expectations, this is when things work. And I had no
Oh,
expectations with the
okay.
car, as you didn't have the shadow, the ceiling with Ganesh or anybody, that any deity that you would work with. And that's why things work out better. But like if you keep affirming, if you keep affirming, if even if you're delusional about it, because people are like, oh, you're delusional. But how many times have my delusions come to pass?
That
Many,
is true. Yeah. How
many.
many times it
Yeah.
actually fulfills itself. So
Yeah.
see, one thing that I did learn about magic, especially when it comes to letting go and breaking those
Yeah.
barriers, is believing in those kismet energies,
Yeah.
because magic is never going to formulate and do things the way you want it to do. It has its own entity. It
Yeah.
decides when and how. But the problem
Yeah.
there is that people, based on how we are socially formed now, we need a specific control. We want outcomes to be exactly the way it is. It's a cause and effect. Why? That is because of what people are expecting from what others do. And it's never about
Yeah.
themselves, never about how they are doing it in their own will and volition. So when I started to break down a lot of that control and a lot of that expectations, thinking that things are always going to turn out the way I envisioned it, I realized that it opens up for more surprises. Magic gave me more kismet energy that I could never even have, looked into and expected. You would be very, very surprised. And even to a point of like what you were saying earlier, right? There was
Yeah.
a lot of evolution coming from which crossroads you were. I had a lot of trauma from previous attempts in building a business that I
Mm.
failed many, many times. And then to a point of like me keeping myself in a low vibration, keeping myself like not wanting to engage in certain things, keeping that comforts within the imposter syndrome that I've been, that's been wreaking havoc with everybody actually. I did realize that no, you can actually be friends with your past self. You
Yes.
can be friends with the many things that you've attempted to do. And that is because
Yeah.
forget that even if we did get burnt from that, it provides us more of a route as to where we're supposed to go. And then once you are ready to be able to just open yourself up to it and be friends with it, it also engages a lot more of how it's going to evolve. But that's where people cut it out.
But
They're always to
but
that situation. Go on.
in order for you to succeed, you need to fail often.
Yeah, you have to all the
A
time.
billionaire and a millionaire has never from day one succeeded. I have
Oh, yeah.
failed miserably so many times and I've cried so many times. I've tried so many different avenues before I went into spirituality and I
Mhm.
didn't know I had that in me. So like I know how you feel. It's a lot of us who feel that like that or entrepreneurs who feel like that, where you try so many avenues and you feel like you're failing and then all of a sudden, when the right thing comes along, this is when everything opens up for you. But
Oh, yeah.
if you don't fail, how will you know it was for you or
How
not?
will you know? And at the same time, if you do not try, how will you know that it is for you? That's the
Exactly.
thing is,
Exactly. And like,
artists,
but
go on.
you need to have magical background. That means that one somebody in your family needs to have something. Like my grandmother was a healing practitioner, probably also a witch. I'm pretty sure she was. But you have somebody background. There's somebody in your family who
That's so
had like
funny.
intuition or was a healer or something.
Now.
We get it passed on.
Yeah, that's the issue there is that I've talked to a lot of different practitioners recently. You know how I got with Phrase and with Dragon the Rose and even Crooked Path at most. But a few people were trying to dissect me as to where my background is coming from. I could attest that no, I have no clue if there is any practitioners within our nature or within my background
The
coming from the
hiding it, the hiding it.
so the weird thing is
Back
because
in the
it
day, you don't say those things.
no, you don't say those things. And then the weird part about it is that my family was more gearing towards the traditional Catholic, even until now, and I don't practice
The
the same.
hidden Christians, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm Christian, I'm Greek
So,
Orthodox, but like, I'm
right?
spiritual as an approach. And I do understand the Catholicism, but like, all I know is like the church witches are real. Uh,
Oh yeah,
uh,
it's very controlling and
yeah.
it really
You
got
can
me
read
to a point.
apostles, you can read the paragraphs, and you have a spell. Words are
Yeah.
spells. So,
Oh
like,
yeah.
they were just probably hiding, not telling you I have an intuition. Like when people come, like, oh, I had a dream. Did you know? Did you have a dream?
That's I was just talking to my sister
Yeah.
actually, and then because now that I'm more open to magic and understanding how it is and how it
Mhm.
works, I didn't realize that we were actually doing magic all our lives. So my sister, even for me, okay, so considering my brand as being a wish granter, I realized, and even as a young age, I'm always granting people's desires. I'm always granting
You're like a
people's.
djinn.
I'm like a djinn, exactly.
We need to talk after this recording.
Oh no, seriously. When I say something, it happens. And it happens for other people, but not so much for me because I can't seem to control it. My sister, on the other hand, which is hilarious, I realize that she has this innate capacity of sheer luck. And she does not even know it. And then ever since when we were little, she would always get the best things that she wanted. She would always turn things the way it's supposed to be. And she would get really lucky in certain scenarios and certain approaches, so we share the same magic, and I think it's within our lineage too.
Pretty
And then
positive.
it's very, very positive. And then, but the problem there is that she has more control of the luck to herself rather than me. It's outward. You know what I mean? It's me granting those wishes, whereas she is the one granting herself. So I'm trying to learn and harness that towards myself and be more comfortable with catering to myself. And I think it's just more of like a self-love kind of
It's
situation.
self-love, it's self-alignment, and I've been there. I've been there. I
Yeah, but
used to always doubt myself first, but always be able to help everybody else. And what should happen is once you align within yourself, then everything is going to fall into place for you as
it
well.
does.
Even though
It
you
does.
can still grant wishes for others. I'm also very good at manifesting for other people, which I didn't know.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think that's what
That's the work
everybody
that I do.
forgets for
I
sure.
mean, besides being a demon slayer.
That's what I love about it, honestly. I was just writing more about like the little things that I've been learning from people, especially when it comes to like magic. Because when I entered magic, I entered it in a very belligerent way. It's like, oh, okay, let's just do it. Just get off of that armchair and start
Yeah.
doing it. And
Yeah.
things are starting to happen. But I came with it without like proper protections or magical condoms, if you would put it. No,
I never heard magical gun.
I am going to say this, but yep, magical
I
condoms, like
love
how
it.
about
I love it. I have not heard
that?
about magical condoms.
But
We
if you
have
think
just
about
learned
it,
something new.
yep, well, we can always coin anything, right? That's basically what chaos magic is all
That
about.
is
Coin new
chaos
things,
magic. Yeah,
right?
but chaos
Um,
magic can be also wonderful. It can,
mhm.
because I know about chaos magic, and like sometimes you need to stir things up before, the dust settles, and sometimes you need to show people, like this is how far you can go.
Oh yeah,
I use
exactly.
chaos magic more like as a protection, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. But magical condom.
You were always one to give those like, funny remarks, and I love you for it, honestly. It's like, am I gonna get dick today? So here I am, reaching out to your vibe and just, casually, but nope, hashtag magical condoms. But anyway, continue. What's the next question for this one then? And don't
I need
delete
to
that.
contain myself. I'm not. I have to contain myself because this is funny.
Okay.
So, I really I think like I don't have questions.
No,
I
you
wanted
were planning to go
we were
into
talking about like, glamour magic, and
glamour
like I
magic.
said that within that you can always, like incorporate sigils into your face, into your hand,
Yeah.
to your wrist to,
You know what? Let's
enhance
do more
beauty.
towards I think let's do more towards like the background. We missed out on that one for where we came from doing the mundane makeup in the makeup field and how we evolved towards the spirituality of it. We didn't talk about it.
Yes. So I actually want to tap into something. And I don't know if you're going to agree with that. I didn't know before, but everything is a cult, right?
Oh,
Everything is a
everything
cult,
is a
especially in
cult.
Hollywood. We've been there and like I've noticed and seen a lot of things. And it makes sense now why certain doors were closed because I was never meant to enter them. And I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure for you the same way. But have
Correct.
you noticed the rituals that, even a makeup artist will do, or a beautician, or like anybody in the industry that actually hashtag does like glamour magic or sex magic or whatever magic? Because they all do it.
Yep, they all do it. It's a very common thing for that one for sure. But at the same time, people use it in a very unconscious manner. That's the only other issue on
Sometimes
it.
conscious, sometimes conscious.
Sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious based on what they're trying to do, especially when it comes to social media. Like social media is such a double-edged sword right now. We never really have privacy, and at the same time, people copy each other's energies, and it forms a lot of sheeple.
Yeah, and a
If
lot of products are also enchanted and they just don't tell you about it, or like there are spells over it.
okay.
Have you heard about that?
I did not hear about it just because when I retired from makeup back in 2018, I never looked back.
Like buy makeup, buy.
I
So there
know.
are, I'm not gonna name them, but some people will know there are makeup brands that are having sigils on it even.
Okay.
And they talk about like witchcraft. They call it enchanted, but it's really not enchanted. Because by the end of the day, if it was, then everybody would be successful using those, and then the sales
Mhm.
would go higher. But sometimes they use it for their own sake.
Yeah, that's always, that's something that we've encountered one too many times, you
Yeah,
know.
and the difference to my products, for example, is like what I enchant is for the people to, feel love, self-love, and to
Yeah.
succeed. And even the face oil that I use on a daily base, I tell people you can use it as in magical oils for your candles if you wanted
Mhm.
to, because it's all about love and self-love. It's the high vibration. But
Mhm.
like, I was just curious if you have encountered certain things, but it seems like you have as well, or you know about it, and it's always hush hush secret.
Okay, fair enough. Because, for me, the way I see it, and especially when it comes to like logos, right, in my marketing
Mm,
background, there's sigils that you're talking about. I feel it's not just like the occult sigils, but more so on how they're branding themselves. If you want to really go into the 3D and the mundane every day and how things really practically
yeah,
work, then yes, they have a very powerful way of
yeah,
branding themselves
yeah, yeah.
and moving forward with what people want and what people see. So it just really
But it's all
differs
sigil
based
work.
on
It's all sigil
it's
work.
all sigil work, yeah. So it's all
100%.
visualization, it's all like manifestation in that core. But at the same time, I also have this certain belief that if you see that other people are, practically successful in it, then do what they do. That's
Yeah,
all there's
yeah,
what
absolutely.
they do. So cut the
It's
crap,
a
cut the
different version of it, but it's like your version. Yes.
But that's the thing, though. That's when your product interjects, is because I feel like that is consciously made. There's a difference between those.
Yeah.
So, and I do believe in terms of like selling and money itself, right? And business, money is not the problem. I feel like it's people that is the problem. People are the ones that are using certain, things and energies to a specific advantage without being conscious about it. And then when it comes to selling and when it comes to like, money is there to be able to provide for you, and being able to really
Sometimes, yeah,
harness that
yeah. And
really
sometimes,
opens up to a lot of
a lot
opportunities.
of times, brands are harvesting energy,
And
and
that's
people are
true.
not
That can
aware of it.
happen too.
As you know, as a practitioner, I know that, and I haven't talked about it before, like publicly, but that's how it is, and it's known. It's known, it's
Okay.
out there. How long have you been doing makeup before you walked away? Like, what was the
Okay,
time span?
so the background that I had right there really was a very awkward thing because I worked in many different fields. I was originally a face painter at Disneyland, and then when I was trying to
It's
elevate what
amazing.
painting is, I got invited to do more of the body paint. So I was originally a body painter before a makeup artist. I did not learn beauty straight up. So I was working with larger, canvases, which is mainly the body and for festivals and whatnot.
Hmm.
That's my true love, I could really say. I think I really discovered myself in that field. Unfortunately, it wasn't giving enough to be able to, sustain, myself on a daily. I did learn makeup because it was more of the usual commercial aspect of it. And that's how, I immersed into it. So by far,
Which
I
you
was
can
doing
incorporate with the face and body
in which I
painting.
incorporate
Yeah.
with it. So a lot of so by far, for how long as I've been doing it, I started back in 2010 all the way to 2018 is when I stopped. Right before the pandemic, at least, 2 years before, which I'm very happy because that was a very destructive time of my life. It really was very unconscious.
Hmm.
I was so lost in that avenue because I built my reality around being a makeup artist, hoping that I would become the mentors that I had. And that is one heartbreaking thing that I realized is that not because you are you're taken under the wing by certain, well-known names and people doesn't mean
Mm.
that their life is yours. And that is actually what opened me towards spirituality altogether, is because I discovered that the reason why things didn't work is because I was trying to live other people's lives. That's basically all I knew. But I
A
never
lot
knew
of
who.
us have. A lot of us have.
Right? And I never knew who I was. And I was just giving my energy around. I was giving my talent, for free. And then that's when I figured the more that I went deep into myself in the spiritual realm is when I broke free from that idea and started naming things based on who I truly am. So when in terms of beauty, it really showed me the balance that I can do with design because as a designer, that's the reason why I gravitated towards body paint. It's working with bigger canvases, whereas
Yeah.
beauty, it's very traditional in many ways and it's predictable, but at the same time, it holds a specific balance that cannot be broken. There's a law that is unspoken within it. But of course, everybody can do whatever they want. And then what really makes or breaks a good editorial and high-end appeal really is based on those unpredictable balances. And I think that's what I specialized in back then. It was more towards editorial content, creative directing. It was just unfortunate that I did not grow within that field and my life didn't really call for it, because I really needed to answer a different calling.
Yeah.
Magic currently.
When I walked away from the makeup field, it was like 2014. I started like transitioning out. There weren't a lot of agencies that will take you on. Like you had to be in a big agency. There was no
Mhm.
smaller in between agencies, which are now blooming, and everybody's signed or like their apps, and you can get so much easier work. Like back then, you had to go and hustle and talk to everybody. There was no
Oh
apps,
yeah.
there was no websites, there was no agencies that will sign you unless you like I don't know, with the big ones. And I went to the big ones, I was brave.
Oh yeah, you have
And I
to be
introduced
brave.
myself, yeah, and like I was just like tired of also not getting paid. And
Oh
I
my
was also tired of like the less it was so shallow. It became shallow after so many years and I was doing it like 10 years straight up.
Mhm.
And it was just so shallow. And I was like, there
It's
needs to
very
be more
draining.
balance. So now that I'm going back, because now I have my studio in North Hollywood, right? And like it's in a salon suite. So now that I'm, looking for models, so and anybody wants to be a model on camera, please message me. But Side note, now that I can incorporate it, like yeah, doing beauty treatments and like putting my spirituality into my brand, I feel like there's so much flavor to it. I feel
Oh,
like that's how it should be because okay, not every makeup brand needs to be holistic or you can call yourself holistic and there's zero holistic in it.
zero holistic
What
and
does
con.
holistic mean to begin with? You know what I mean? So like when I say like it's enchanted, which some makeup brands have that, it's different because for each brand it's something else. Mine infuses healing, the love, the self-love, and I feel like it fills it more in. It makes it so much more beautiful. So when you put your lip gloss on, just like when people touch your sigil, it's like a wish granting,
Mhm.
it's like a little genie bottle,
It
right? So,
is. It
like it
is.
has your own spin, and this is you become you, your own version, and this is when you step into like, oh, I'm going to be successful, you
Well, the
know?
thing
And just
was,
again, thinking of like manifesting this, like whether it's delusional or not, this is what's going to make it. Just keep
yeah,
at it and be consistent with anything you do, but put your love into it. But I feel like there has been a bigger change now because people get tired and bored of like this bland whatever. People want to be more individual, more like, defined.
we
And
all
this
as
is
a
healing.
collective feel like we needed to get to a certain degree
Yeah.
before we can even
Hmm.
enter a phase. Even with their politics right now, like people needed to find out exactly what it is in order for it to open up to a different perspective. So, with that, I think yes, you are correct about it. People are looking into individualism now. They had their fill of the taste that they really wanted to get and do, which I believe. I believe in humanity. I believe
Mm.
in the hope for the future because things will evolve as they go, and they're evolving towards the truth at the
Yeah.
moment. But I mean, you were saying before too, is that your main field is in protection, magic, and curse
Yeah.
breaking. Wow,
Yeah.
how does your line provoke that kind of scenario as well?
So, when it comes to protection, I'm specialized because I have history with, needing to remove myself,
Mhm.
curses, ancestral issues, past life attachments, whatever that was, right? So the reason why I became a cosmic energy healer, I am a Reiki master, but it was not strong enough for me. It's on a low vibrational 3D level. I needed
Mhm.
more 5, 7, 9, 11D, whatever. It needed to be just different. And yes, I can go maybe back to 7 past lives with my healing method, but I personally know that it's more than 7 past lives. So protection, removing anything negative cannot be done through the makeup line. However, I
Yeah.
incorporate protection with certain herbs, with certain oils, with
Mhm.
my enchanting, with the channels that I'm able to open to put protection on it and send that out to everybody energetically. And it's just like a chain reaction. So when I teach glamour magic, my last glamour magic class last month, I taught them what products they need to use or like what herbs and oils they need to use in order
Mhm.
for them to be more protected and incorporate that as well. Make it a transmutation, make it a transmutation. So whatever comes at you, that it gets, transmuted into financial abundance and you are protected, yada yada. So like it's a combination of things,
Yeah. Mhm.
but like you keep going on. That's what I said, yada yada. But like you keep going on with what you want to add. But if you want to like, really like remove spirit and demonic attachments, you need to do healings, obviously.
Of
Can be in
course.
person, can be over Zoom, but I do add the protective factor and I do put the love and self-love and the glamour that people feel enticed and people keep coming and I do get the good feedbacks. Like that's how it is
Yeah.
because you put
It's
the
nice.
intention just like you do it with an oil.
Uh-huh.
So like I have protection in it already, but if you needed to remove some, bigger
Then
issues,
it's a
of course you need
different.
to do sessions. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I incorporate it. But like I always give intent that, the person who has it has the most success and the most protection and, you know, um I don't know, like even wish granting. even wish
Mhm.
granting, just like you do. Because when I offer candle work, manifestation work. People tell me, and I detach. I'm so detached, and I already know if it's going to happen or not. So I say yes or no, and most of the times
Mm.
it's a yes, unless like they want to bend the will of somebody else. Then I don't
Yeah.
do that necessarily. But it happens just because we're
Okay.
detached and we just know. So like I'm like you. I'm like a genie master unknowingly, and you just. You're just more aware of it, and I wasn't. But like I can grant wishes. Like it's like I can help people manifest what they want, and they get it. And I'm just like, how did that happen? And I'm like, why doesn't that happen to me? Because we need to accept.
I know, I
Because
know.
we need to accept that. And the last year has been self-acceptance, self-love, working on oneself, and enticing yourself. Put a spell on yourself, basically, or like, the coding, whatever you want to call it, and then all of a sudden, like it flies like
Yes,
off the
it just
shelves.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
engage with it consciously for
Yeah,
sure.
but the good thing is for you, like you can put a sigil for money, you can put a sigil for love. Even with chaos magic, you can do a sigil for protection. So I do feel that you are like divinely protected. I do
Hmm.
see that, but I also feel like you're a good luck button, like, rub me and
My
like
good
good
luck
luck is coming
button.
out like the genie. But you need to, I don't want to say you need to rub yourself because that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean? Like you can grant your wish as well. And that's what we
That
need to learn how to do.
that's true.
And most of the times, a lot of practitioners, the right there's practitioners and practitioners, but the right ones, they usually work on others. They don't
Oh
necessarily
yeah.
work on themselves. There's other ones who are very, very good at manipulating social media and, selling, an image that is actually not there. Then you meet them in person and you're like fully disappointed. I've many
Oh yeah.
times
That happens
in
so many
the
times.
expos, and I'm just like, bro.
Really? Like really? Really
I'm like, you
now?
full of talk, and then I meet you, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is no. This is a no. Unfollow, immediate unfollow.
But the thing is too is like I think it's an evolution as well because for yourself when you're evolving, right? It
Yeah.
becomes to a situation where you understand what is genuinely yours versus what is not. And but that's the problem with the people that you are meeting for those situations is because it's not in a genuine vibration and capacity. So that's the reason why they can't explain what they're saying or doing, and they're totally different in person compared to
Yeah.
what doing in
Yeah.
camera. So
Yeah.
that's again the double-edged sword of what the technology that we've been living in now. And the nice thing about hermeticism really and witchcraft is that we really still keep within the roots and understand the genuine aspects of ourselves in order for us to combine those methods too. And it's not so bad to combine those
Yeah.
methods.
But it's called witchcraft, but technically it's healing oneself.
Oh yeah.
The
It
reason why it's been called witchcraft, the reason why people were dying on the stake and like the witches were burned on the stake, which I'm pretty sure I burned a few times, you too, in past lives, is because we had more knowledge, is because we could heal ourselves with herbs, and is because we were smarter, or they were smarter,
yeah.
whoever burned on the stake. And then witchcraft is just you entice yourself, you work on yourself. And those people who are very good in marketing or very good in social media, they entice themselves. They having that like I don't want to say God complex, but like a doctor, but they believe in themselves and they just go. And then this is what makes it different. And that's why it's so good make selling products. Like I fell from, I don't want to name names, but there are people who like religiously do glamour magic or like sigil work, whatever, and they sell themselves so good. Everybody buys that, but like, and the reviews are great. And then you test the product and you're just like, it's not
Mm.
working. Is it me?
Well, you know what? I
It happened
believe in
many
certain
times.
frequencies, and
Yeah.
what people don't know, they vibrate to a specific frequency. So if you don't
Yes.
know a certain thing and it's being sold to you and you are selling it in the right frequency that they are understanding it, then of course you're catching a wider net. And now I'm talking about marketing here in a 3D perspective because
Yeah.
that's exactly the core of it. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's just the way it is. It's just a matter of how we make friends with it. And then
Yeah.
even recently, right, I've been learning a lot of planetary magic and
Me
calls
too.
for
I work with
what I'm
that.
currently doing. I realize that even Saturn itself, Saturn allows you to really be friends and like the negative things that you don't like. And that is because that's also part of
Transform.
reason.
Yeah.
That's also part of business. It's being
Yeah.
able
He's a
to wear those
transformer.
hats and transform yourself to that. Like what you don't like. It's about fitness, like, do you like getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, running and whatnot? What is really good for you?
Sure.
How are you making friends with it,
Yeah.
right? How are you really loving what you don't like? And that is more transformative than what people are very delusionally comfortable with. And I can
Yeah.
attest to that because even for me, I get into the delusion of being okay with what is already there. But unfortunately, life at one point will call out for a different state. And if you're not ready to answer, you're not taking in those blessings that are coming through.
That is so true. But that's the beauty of Saturn. Like it will show you the good and the bad.
It will show you
But
the
I
good.
do I do love planetary magic. I religiously for the fa past like 7, 8 years
Okay.
been working with planetary magic. I know the Crooked Path is known for that. They have an app.
They
Yeah,
are.
they
And
have
I
an app
think
for that.
part of it too, in the most mundane, like, way, I feel like planetary magic is in, if I were to talk in terms of like chaos, right? And just, the just mundane things, just like quick things, it
Yeah,
allows itself to transform based on the correspondences that was there. So it basically tells you, again, coming towards, chaos work, it tells you to become how they are and kind of dictates to you what you can expect from it. And then unconsciously, you change your way of thinking towards that, based on the rituals that you do.
yeah.
And then I think that's when invocation starts to happen as well. And when
Mhm.
when that approach and conscious approach, becomes into fruition, then things align in your way of thinking, in your ego, and not only in your ego, but in your subconscious, that tells you to change your
Yeah.
ways, your styles towards it. And then your 3D realm or your reality changes with that.
Mhm.
So the magic really is within you, but at the same time, the planetary, system will also be able to shine down and incorporate that towards the changes and outcomes that you want for it.
I like
That's
that.
how I understand it.
Beautifully explained. One last thing, what's your product? What can we
Oh,
give
God,
to finish up? What
that
can we
is so
give
fun.
the
Okay, so
crowd? What is yours? Was it the sigil? The what's
yes,
the
so just wanted
dice?
to introduce to you guys, because I know you were a
I'm so
reader.
interesting.
I know. But I invented a few bespoke ritual tools, which is an obsession of mine right now. And it is the tarot dice,
So
really, that
beautiful.
everybody's been seeing at the markets and stuff. So I hand
Pretty.
paint it. And again, it's a multi-layer of the many things that I've done in the past. It's a one style reading. You can do a reading of the day just by like rotating it. And it comes with its own
So pretty.
bag and stuff. So you can use it to kind of like throw. It's a more dynamic approach into reading because cards, they can be, pretty
Yeah.
flat, but
Yeah.
the dynamics of this, it actually collects a lot of kinetic energy.
And that is available online, or can the people
No, it's not
message
available
you? What's
online.
your handle?
So the way I do it is actually it's commission piece because I have to hand paint it. It takes me 4 weeks to even make one, and it's made to be inherited. It's made to become an heirloom. So as it collects a lot of the kinetic energy from the many readings that it has over time, I want it to get to a point where the sides are gonna start to edge, but because it is painted, the designs are still gonna be on there with its own correct characteristics. So even if we're not here anymore in this realm, I want it to be a point where your grandkids or whoever continues your lineage are capable of actually having it still. So it will build up a lot of kinetic
It is
energy.
beautifully painted, like your artistry comes out, so they can get it at the markets wherever you are. What's your
I
Instagram handle?
sure that's Kevin is God, Gaud, because everything that I make is gaudy. So it's a
So
spin-off,
they can
it's a
find you there, and then there is links in your handle if people want to
yes,
purchase it or
they can
contact
definitely
you, message
correct.
you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But the main
That's a
highlight that I
sigil.
have right now, and again, this is the second bespoke ritual tool that I invented, is the dry erase sigil board. So now the reason being is that a lot of people, they're having to repeat the system of making a sigil through pen and paper, right? For this one, it actually is a ritual tool on itself that is a never-ending sigil generator where you can simply use a dry erase sigil, a dry erase pen, and then make your own sigil for any product that you want.
Interesting.
And it also replicates the erasure because sigils and sigil magic, you're supposed to forget and not obsess about the scenarios that you're in. So for this one, instead of the burning ritual that you're doing, you can set this on your altar and have the sigil on there. And then once you're ready, the erasure of your sigil actually replicates the burning of it. And then you can rinse and repeat, make another sigil altogether, and that is basically our fresh start right there.
I
So no
love
matter what,
that. I love
it is.
that.
And then this is the original piece that I have. I do sell them specifically at markets because I am developing a lot of like modern takes on ritual tools. This one is actually written in papyrus and in dragon's blood ink. So I am in partnership with Hermetic Calligraphy. He's a really close friend of mine. He's the one that develops a lot of the ritual inks that I use for my magic. And because
Develops.
I
Wow.
accidentally incorporated a lot of the practical use for it, we became, good partners with that. But, he develops a lot of planetary inks. And this is what I use for a lot of my sigilling, my magic work, because it's already infused with so many things. So it's similar to like how people would use candle magic. They would dress it with their oils. For me, it's more of like writing
Yeah.
and the sigilling using it with inks, with occult inks that is there. So with that
Beautiful.
said, I'm duplicating a lot of the tools that I currently have, and I'm launching it out in the market so that people can also practice the way I do and bring it out
Nice.
towards
Nice. Very
systems.
nice. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
That's
much.
beautiful. So shout out to Hermetic Supplies.
Hermetic calligraphy, yes.
Calligraphy, sorry. I think there is a Hermetic Supplies,
We
but
are we are the pen and paper people in all the markets. There's only a
but
few of us.
that's yeah, but that's the beauty of it because not everybody's doing what you do.
Yes, exactly. And there's I think there's only three of us that does it in terms of like pen and paper. And when we saw each other at Crooked Path, we were just like, oh yeah, this is the pen and paper gang. Yeah, we're the only ones that does pen and paper. Like
Pen
we're the only
and
ones
paper
that does pen and
gang.
paper. Mhm.
I
That's so
love that. I love
true.
that. I love that. Well, I'm very happy we crossed paths
Oh, I
because
am
you are
extremely
such a
satisfied with that.
Thank you. You're satisfied.
Yeah, I'm extremely satisfied with that, Eva. You know how I love your energy. Every time you
Oh,
come up to
thank you.
me, you always bring such an engaging feel. I felt really welcomed. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm very discerning with people. I love my hermeticism. I love being a hermit. I don't need a lot of people in my life, but at the same time, I only include people who recognizes and sees me for what I'm trying to do. And you're the first few people that actually acknowledge that. So I really, really appreciate
Oh,
being able to do that. Thus, I am here today and, granting your wish.
well, that's not what. Well, I have other wishes.
Oh,
Talk
you have
about this.
many other wishes. Well, maybe I can't grant the others, but hey, who knows?
I'm pretty sure you can, but um, no, I feel yeah. I met a lot of people. I've been doing markets and trade shows and like those fairs for like 1.5 years. Before that, I was working in a metaphysical store for 5 years, and then after when COVID hit, I was working 5 years from home. uh or like yeah, and then when I started with those markets I met a lot of people, and it's a lot of hit and miss, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
fakeness, unfortunately. But I think that's also with makeup artists on any other
in any other.
branch. I did meet in the smaller markets, and that's what I love about like the markets that you've named, like really nice people, and I have build friendships, and it's nice to meet people every once in a while that are genuine. So it's, of course, I'm going to be more happy when I see you because we don't talk smack, but like we just have fun. Like we just stand next to
Oh,
each other and
I
we
love
just
talking
laugh
to
because
you
things are
too.
funny or something. So like when people come in and brighten up my day, of course that helps me as well. But yeah, generally I try always to, uplift people. And that's why, like even like with whatever I do and touch, some of my clients, they love my energy. So they're like, oh, we're gonna get this. And like my lip gloss sold out like within like the same day. So now
Yeah.
I'm developing a second line with a little bit more glossy feel to it because that's been requested and like I have that out as well. It's not on the website yet, but it will be soon.
Are
But
you
people can get
planning
me
to
on the
do
market. Hmm?
are you planning to do colors pretty soon too? Because that's one thing that I would love to see
Yes,
is more
yes,
of like
yes.
those
I
palettes.
have Persephone is coming out. It's in red, and then I have Nude, which is going to be Artemis, and
Okay.
then it's going to keep adding, and those are going to be the base colors for now, like red, nude, and red is not like super red. It's just like the tint of
Yeah.
red, and then like the pink for Aphrodite, and it's just moisturizing gloss and everything, but it's going to be also for other ways. Available, but I used to have like eyeshadow palettes, but that was more like private labeling. I've been trying
Right.
to build certain things myself and have failed. It takes a lot of, it's not the skill set, you need the right recipe. I have the
Right.
skills, I'm very creative. I'm not, the painter that you are. I'm a maker. I'm very good
Yeah.
behind the scenes. I'm a maker. I created so many products. I'm so happy about that. But the recipes are always like, you need to fail like 100 times before you have the right recipe.
Oh yeah,
I
for
was just
sure.
trying last week something with blushes, and I was just like, who on earth put this up for me to try when it was a failure? So, like, those are things that, you gotta try. But like, I want to do a lot of things that are more organic, but it's going to be probably more natural colors, but like a lot in the orange, in the pinkish, and then the red and the brownish colors,
Okay.
which has
You know what?
variation.
Honestly, the approach that I feel like you're taking too is very Bobby Brown in many ways. And that is
That's
because
true.
never really went away from the most natural and everyday, and that caters so
Yeah, and it
of
also needs to, yeah,
know.
and it also needs to resemble me, but like I will put like a purple up because I want to do like a Lilith tone, I feel
Okay.
like purple
Yeah.
is like a Lilith or like a like the Bordeaux red, like
But
the
honestly, I feel like those, especially when it comes to the darker deities, in my perspective, and if I were to view your product line, I would love to see them in more like eyeshadow palettes. And if there's anything, I think you need to start more towards like single colors anyway. So
I
don't go
have, I
towards
have, I
a
have.
lot
Yes.
because that's really gonna speak out in more of a dynamic combinations thereof. So
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
comes
absolutely.
using Lilith, right? You could definitely use it on the eyes versus also balancing out the darkness of the
Yeah.
Lilith with more of like an Aphrodite appeal
Yeah.
towards, the you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 100%. And I'm developing right now the blush stick that is like more natural with more butters, like body
Mhm.
butters. And like with that, you can put it on your cheeks, on your lips, and on your
Oh, you
eyes.
know what? That
Yeah,
actually works out as well because I remember when I worked with
you
Grace
can just
Jones
set it.
at
Yeah.
one point. She had this distinct and only blush color that she always uses, and it's a palette that she's never, given away. It's her signature color, and that's one thing that I did notice about the celebrities is that they do have their specific one product that they never gave away and that they never changed. Grace Jones can definitely attest to it. And then she has this really rich magenta blush that
Yes,
really works
yes,
with her all the time.
yes.
So I think those really work well with more of like an everyday, use towards like the
Yeah, yeah,
dark
yeah.
and stuff. So I'm excited to
100%.
do this.
Yeah. 100%. It's just I've been busy with, spiritual work, so this has taken a backseat, but I'm trying to get back into onto the horse because I do love blush sticks and I
Mhm.
like all colors and I don't discriminate. Like I will embrace, the reason why I put also, like Aphrodite or like Greek names because of my Greek
Mhm.
origin, obviously.
Your Greek origin,
Yeah,
yes.
and like I do feel that all the gods they just have different names. It's always the same thing. It's 12 helpers or 12 deities,
Mhm.
and then there is one main god or one main boss.
True.
Just like Jesus with the 12 apostles, and then like in voodoo there are Orishas, the 12, and like I don't know, is it Baba
Yeah.
Ligua? Or like Odin and his, gang of
Yeah,
12, which is Zeus, which is Jupiter actually, and then Zeus with the Greek god. So I take some names more of the Greek descendant, but when people say like, well, who's Zeus? Well, it's Odin and it's Jupiter.
exactly.
And
Hmm.
that's when you know planetary magic, but like Lilith has been, I'm always enticed, like I'm always fascinated by her and of Hecate. So like those names will just roll because they're just obviously there because of my spiritual. I don't necessarily work with them, but like I acknowledge them and just, naming something because I feel like this is pretty and this is what it resembles or that's what I see. To each its own, like there is no everything is going to be love and light. Sometimes you need to, have a chakra alignment with like, the knuckles of crystals.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And I love
But
it. I
yeah.
love that in terms of the hermetics and the witchcraft that I'm learning because, I was coming from the the everyday love and light. And then I
Yep.
realized, sometimes this is not really what you're
Sometimes
supposed to do.
people always
Sometimes
think
you
like I'm
gotta
nice, which I
teach
am, but
lessons
when
through.
you upset me, I'm like, you're about to find out what it's like when you upset me. Because what I do is like, I don't hit anybody, I just pull away. And when I
Oh
pull
yeah.
away, then it's like the hot potato drops. When you
But that's the thing
take the
though.
energy away, that's already a win.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. If you just cut it, that's already a win. And I believe in a friend of mine was actually rejecting this thought process that I have, but I believe in burning bridges. I'm a burn bridger person.
100%, 100%,
If
because
I could
the
walk
reason,
around
yeah,
with with matchstick, I would totally do that. And because it's a preservation
I'm gonna burn
process,
the house down.
I know, right? I will burn a full house
Usually, they always say, "Show me your friends, and I show you who you are." And I say this many times, but when we are around low vibrational people, of course, nothing can come from it. That's why you sometimes need to burn bridges, or when
Mhm.
you feel like you've been wronged. So, like, there's a reason why certain people or certain things, certain situations don't pan out, you know?
Yep,
But it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I feel like there's space for everybody, light and dark, and we need to have that because the world has always been this imbalance. We just need to learn how to coexist
that
with
is true.
anything, not just like my vision or my version or my view is the right one. There is no right or wrong. We need to choose us, humanity.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it speaks for itself, I mean, there were a few, I think, philosophers that would say that if the world had to reset and burn down right now, whatever religion that we know of will not come back. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to come back, but would come back. And no matter what, how many times over and over again is biology altogether. And I feel like biology has already like a set standard and rules with what natural magic actually applies to, because it's the law of nature and how
Yeah.
nature actually affects and evolves itself. And then whatever religion comes out of it is a form of belief that is structured by us as as humans,
I
really.
mean, yeah, I mean, the one religion should be love, and
Oh
that's
my
about it. I
god.
think that's how I like to end it. But if one religion should be, it should be love and compassion. I think
Definitely.
be compassionate once a day. That's already a step forward. We need this right now. Kevin, thank you so much for being on my little podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself and we can talk again soon. You are very inspiring and you have very interesting stories.
Thank you. I
I
really
like your
appreciate
articulation.
this is going to break my imposter syndrome. So
You were
hopefully
concerned. I was not concerned a bit. I was right. You're like, I
hey,
don't
that's the
want to
reason
be
why
on
it's called
camera. I'm
imposter
like, what?
syndrome. But yeah, we'll do this again.